And welcome back to part 2. So in this one we're going to talk about more of a series as far as the sum. Okay, so we're not going to be again looking at a sequence of just numbers, finding out which number is the 13th or the 15th number, but a series. A series is where I add things up. And that's where we talked about last time. We talked about it as a summation, right? We used that weird E looking thing and we said, hey, this will give me a summation from n equals 1 to 15, and you had some formula here, I don't know, 3n plus 2, right? And we called this our partial sums. We called this a partial sum, the 15th partial sum, because it went from 1 to 15. It was the first 15. Well, some math people got going and started thinking about, hey, if I have an arithmetic series, like I do right here, arithmetic sequence, like I do here, and I want to add up the first 15 terms, is there an easier way to do this? Because they didn't have calculators back then. And they said, well, yeah, I have this formula, and I came up with this formula right here. Okay? And this will find the, first n terms, add them up. That's your one. So let's take a look at this. It's saying if I want to find the sum of the first n terms, I need to know how many terms there are. That's n. Okay? Remember, n is number of terms. Terms. Okay. A1 again, remember A sub 1, that's your first term. And A sub n is your nth term, or in the last term we want to add. That was our first formula. Boom. Hey, I got this. Now I could go into explaining why, but I'm not going to in this one. And the last one, the second formula, is this one here. And you're like, oof, okay, well, what makes this one more useful? Well, what makes this more useful is I don't need to know the last one. I just have to know the first one, what number it is, and the common difference. This one's a little bit more easier to explain, remember, because, hey, remember that whole thing at the last, last one was A sub n is equal to the first one plus n minus 1 times some d. Alright, and that's where they get this from. They just replaced A sub n that was up here with all this and put it in there. So those are the two formulas that we can use on top of this one if we don't want to try and find it out without having to put it all in our sequence in our calculator. And for the purpose of these questions coming up next, I'm going to do both. Show you how to do both. So this one here says find the sum of this, and they just give you a list of numbers. Ooh. Which means they don't do a whole lot here. So whenever they don't give us much, we're going to have to go ahead and find our A sub n, or they describe this in A sub n, right? And so we want to find our explicit form. So that's our first step, find the explicit form. So A sub n, we got to remember this is A sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Well, my A sub n is equal to, well, A sub 1 is negative 3, okay, plus n minus 1 times, what's my common difference? Again, so I look here, difference, where I get 2, that's a plus 5, and I check myself, oh yeah, hey, that's a plus 5, oh yeah, hey, that's a plus 5. So my common difference is a positive 5. Alright, cool. So there's my explicit form. I could simplify it more, but I don't really have to. Okay? So, what do I do now? Well, now that I have my explicit form, remember, they want me to find the sum. Okay? And remember that the equation for that sum is S sub n is equal to n over 2 of A sub 1 plus A sub n. Now what's interesting here is this is the reason why I'm using this one. It's because I have the first term and I have the last term. I just need to know the nth. What is n? So how do I find out n? Great question. I plug 157 into here. Is equal to a negative 3 plus n minus 1 times a 5. Well, I add 3 to both sides, it gives me a 160 is equal to an n minus a 1. 5. Divide 5 by both sides. I get a 32 is equal to an n minus 1. Add 1 to both sides. Hey, 33 is equal to n. And I would have to find that out if I wanted to do the summation. And I'll show you in a second. So now I go ahead and now I plug everything into here. So S sub the first 33 terms is equal to 33 over 2. A sub 1 we found is negative 3 plus a 157. You go chinky chinky chink into your happy calculator. And what do you find out? You find out that it's equal to 2541. Woohoo! Great. Now how could I have done it in the calculator? I would have done the exact same thing and gotten up to here to the 33 part. And then in my calculator, I would have brought out, the summation, n equals 1 to 33. And then what would I have used? I would have used my explicit form here. Negative 3 plus parentheses n minus 1 parentheses 5. And that's how I would have put it in the calculator. Boom. And I'm done. Okay? And would have gotten you the same thing, 2541. Let's move to the next one. And here we go. It says now find the 17th partial sum of the arithmetic sequence 531. Ooh. So now they're asking me specifically for the 17th partial sum. Well, if they give me one that looks like this, I have that second formula, remember? Second formula, S sub n, n over 2, 2 a sub 1s plus n minus 1 d. They want the 17th partial sum. So that's where 17 is n. 17 over 2. I just start plugging in 2. What's my first term? First term, series, boom, 53. I got that. 53 plus n minus 1, 17 minus 1 times d, my common difference. Well, what's the common difference between here and here? Okay, between here and here. I'm losing 22. So, common difference is 22. Negative 22. Boom. I plug that into my calculator. This whole big honking thing right here. Boom. Good to go. And that will get me a happy number of negative 2091. Okay. Woo! It's a little crazy, huh? But it's not horrible. You can do this. So, let's go what's next. So on these, when you have these are just on your calculator. Okay? In fact, I'm not even going to go through the process of doing them. You can put these in on your calculator and do them for yourself. All right? The big difference here, remember, it's not the 32nd partial sum, right? Not the 32nd partial sum, because this does not start at 1. All right? You put them in your calculator, you should be able to get an answer. I'm not even going to worry about it. Okay? Same thing on this one. You should be able to put this in your calculator. I'm not even going to worry about it. You can do that. Next. All right, so let's talk about here about how we can find the sum of a series, but word problems. So here we go. An artist receives royalties for all the CDs his music sold for the first 10,000 CDs sold. The artist receives $10,000. He receives $12,500 for the next 10,000 and $15,000 for the next 10,000. And so on and so on and so on. So there's my series. What is it? Okay. So here I have the first 10,000, A sub 1, I got $10,000. The second 10,000 sold, I got $12,500. The third $10,000, I got 15 grand. Okay? And they want to find out how much if I sold 500,000 CDs. So this keeps going, 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 going. So, where each N represents 10,000 CDs. So I want to find S sub 50. So how can I find S sub 50? Well, again, I need to find my sequence first. What is my sequence? Okay. Actually, S sub 50, we want to find the 50th partial sum. I don't have to work as hard on this one. Okay? Let's watch. Alright? Because of this one up here. S sub n is equal to n over 2. 2 of A sub 1s plus n minus 1 times d. Alright? I want S sub 50. So I do it. 50 divided by 2. 2 times what's A sub 1? 10,000. Plus n minus 1. 50 minus 1. Times d. What's my common difference? Common difference, chink. Chink. 2,500. 2,500. Boom. Type that all in your wonderful calculator. Again, be careful with that. You may want to put extra parentheses there. 50 divided by 2. Okay. Slap that all that's in there. And what do you get? You get 3,562,500. Boom. That's it. But let's say you did want to find out about for your calculator, right? Right? So, if you wanted to do it with the summation, well, they want to find the first 50. So n equals 1 to 50. Now I need to find my explicit form. My explicit form is take the first one, A sub 1, so 10,000 plus n minus 1 times my common difference. My common difference, 2,500. Okay? And that's how you would put it in your calculator. And you get the same amount. Your choice. I am not going to tell you which one to do. Each one's just as easy. No worries, no hassles. Okay? You just need to know how to get the explicit form from those first 3 terms. Okay? Alright, so let's take a look at the next one. I want you to set it up. So here we go. This time I have a profit or shoe company. I want you to set it up. Write it all the way out. You don't have to get the number if you don't have a calculator at home, but I want you to write it out just like I wrote it out before I got how much I made. Same thing. I'm going to pause the video. You're going to do it on your own. And boom, there's your answers. Okay? You had 2 possibilities. You can either write out the summation formula that we've had in this lesson right here. Boom. That's this piece right here. Or you could have wrote out the summation notation right here. Those are the 2 possible answers I was looking for. You can choose either one of those. And if you did have a calculator at home, hopefully you got this answer down here, $460,000. For selling 20,000 pairs of shoes, okay, you get $460,000. It's a lot of shoes for what I don't think is very much money. But hey, here we go. You guys ready? Let's find out what's next. This next one is a doozy. A huge doozy. Okay, I'm going to talk about it briefly here. Basically what's happening here is Anna is selling a shirt that's over 25 bucks, or a blouse, or a skirt, or a pair of pants. She's selling it to somebody, and each item that's over 25 bucks, she's going to get $3.50 for. But to help make that a little bit more interesting, the manager comes out and says, hey, you know what, Anna? Every time you sell one, I'll give you a 5-cent bump. So for the first one, you get $3.50. For the second one, you earn $3.55. For the third one, you earn $3.60, and so on, and so on, and so on. Okay? So how many items would she have to sell during the week, month, day, whatever, in order to earn $1,000? So, you guys ready to find out how much it's going to be? So I'm going to go on to the next page so I have room to write. And here we go. So if you were to write this out, we'd find out that A sub 1 is equal to 350. A sub 2 is equal to 355. And A sub 3 is equal to 360. That's what they told us. The problem is they don't tell us what number they're looking for. They don't tell us the number in the sequence, which has made the other two easy. This one they're saying how many. So I still set it up the same. I want to find how many is going to equal $1,000. If I go over that amount, I know I'm going to go over 1,000. So that's what my S sub n is going to equal. S sub n I'm going to say is equal to $1,000. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. And then I break out the formula. The formula says n over 2, again, I don't know what that is, times, okay, a sub 1, well, I know what a sub 1 is, so that's 350, plus, and then I got to go and do the next one. Well, what's the next one going to be? 350 plus, okay, well, oops, it's supposed to be 2 times, 350, plus n minus 1. Again, I don't know what n is, times my common difference. Well, what's my common difference between these two? And these two is 0.05. So this is 0.05. And now I got to do algebra. And algebra is good for us. Algebra will pay off so much in college. All right, so here we go. The n over 2 is going to stay over there. I'm going to keep this as 1,000. Okay, n over 2 stays. I'm going to deal with the inside. 2 times 350 is $7. Plus, and I distribute this. 0.05 n minus 0.05. I can combine them like terms. Okay. First thing though is I'm going to notice, hey, I can multiply everything, both sides here, by 2. And when I do that, I get 2,000 over here. And I'm just left with n over here. Okay. And 7 minus 0.5 is 655. 695. And plus, say, 0.05 n. Okay. Distribute my n. Subtract the 2,000 from both sides. So when I do that, I have here 0.05 n squared plus 6.95 n. Okay. Minus a 2,000. Okay. All right. So what do I do now? Okay. So what do I do now? I can take this. We got to remember back to algebra 2. What are we going to do? We're going to put this in our calculators. And when we put this in our calculators, it's going to give us, it looks like it's going to give us a parabola. I want to find out where that parabola equals 0. So let's do that. I did that already. Tab. Oops. Okay, I did this already. I put that in there. It looks a little bit different, but I'm going to go back here to my graphing. And there's my line. What do I do to find this? I do second trace, right? I want to find my 0, number 2. Left bound, remember when it's asking for the left bound, I need to go below 0. Find it real fast, hit enter. This one, the right bound, when it asks for a right bound, I need to go above 0 and hit enter. And then my guess, I'm going to guess about there and put it there. So this is 0. I'm at 142.2. So I go back. And so what do I find out? I find out that n is equal to 142.2 is equal to n. Huh. Well, can I sell 142.2 dresses? No. So what am I going to say? How many does she have to sell in order to get over the $1,000? 143. Let's see, items over $25. If she sells over 143, she's done. So when they ask you for this type of problem, okay, what do you need to get down to? You need to get down to this right here and put this into your y equals, and then hit second trace to find out the 0. Okay. Hope that helps. That's going to be the end of our little lesson here today, I believe. Yep, these are all the different words that we learned during this one. Okay. Well, that's it, guys. We'll see you guys tomorrow, and hope you guys stay safe. Bye.